What I needed was not a new weapon, but a new animal.
A new animal?
Exactly so.
You found one?
Yes. Here on my island, I hunt the most dangerous game.
Most dangerous game?
Most dangerous game? What could it be?
The game I am hunting is all of you.
We are going to hunt you cricket.
What happens if I get caught?
Ooh, don't get caught. Don't get caught. Well, there he goes.
Hunt man? You raving maniac.
Well, conventional wisdom says good fleeing will always beat good chasing. But the stats say put your money on the guy with the gun.
And the hunt begins.
Indeed, indeed. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Most Dangerous Podcast, a show about all the fun and horrifying incarnations of the Most Dangerous Game. I'm Travis Fishburne.
I am Alex Brunel.
I'm Dustin Meadows.
This week we are wrapping up our double feature covering Pryor Brothers movies, Deadly Prey, and
The saga of Mike Danton and his wives.
Real missed opportunity to not go for a full trilogy here.
Given David's passing in 2015, I think that is probably the only reason we haven't seen a third entry in this franchise.
Oh yeah, but I mean, if they were going to go trilogy, then they blew it by calling the second installment Deadliest Prey.
Well, that's true. They did blow the title in that way. However, if young David Pryor Jr. were to grow up, what was he credited as? If he were to grow up, Michael Charles Pryor, the young man that plays Little Danton, the firstborn, the Aryan firstborn of the mighty Danton.
Yes.
If he grows up to also want to make films with his friends, I do truly hope that one of his friends gets ripped to shit and they make a third one of these things that doesn't matter to anyone but them, and I hope it takes them another 25 years.
Title-wise, though, Deadliest Prey?
Why not, man?
Yeah, that's fair. This one was done.
What do you got to lose at this point?
Yeah.
I don't see how that could potentially make any less money than this.
No, definitely not. I don't know what I was expecting, but this definitely somehow felt like a step down.
Yeah. I have thoughts on that. Travis, how did you feel about it overall?
I mean, I think that this, based on how they made the other one,
yeah,
and what it ended up being, and me being concerned that this would, how they were going to follow it up, I think that this is like the best follow-up you could hope for that film.
With these people.
Ways, yeah, with these people.
Yeah.
Many of my questions, I did enjoy so much of it, but I just have questions, and I didn't do the research to look into.
Sure.
A lot of
I did a little bit of poking around on the actors, so I might know some of the answers. Like the most questionable performances were by producers. The most questionable acting performances in front of the camera were by people who were credited as producers or have produced other similarly low budget films.
That tracks. Literally the first scene where you see Danton with his wife, as soon as she delivered her first line, my brain just went, "Oh, I've never acted before. Can you believe it?"
Yeah. Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay, well that does answer a question, because the bad acting in the first one was so charming.
Yeah.
And while watching this, I'm like, okay, I don't know this guy's sensibilities. I don't know how earnest the previous movie was, and I
Right.
don't know at this point, is this being done now intentionally, like bad? And
There's a degree of that for sure, I think.
With a little bit of it, yeah, but I definitely don't think it's all of it. I think there are definitely some
Yeah.
people in there that are trying.
Like they didn't choreograph slow fight scenes where the main character stands in one place and everybody comes to him for him to just knife easily. They, that wasn't done for any effect.
Yeah.
That was done because Ted Pryor's somehow got talked into being the first AD and lead actor in a sequel to this movie. He did a lot of first ADing. But to do both of those jobs on the same film, I can't imagine. I've never seen that happen. The first AD is a big job.
yeah,
I can't
100%.
imagine a first AD doing more than one thing on a set.
that's
Like, it's easier to direct an act than it is
exactly.
to
That's
act an AD. That's insane
Absolutely. Like, how are you keeping a movie on schedule when you're the one in front of the camera?
to me.
Like,
Yeah.
that's a baffling concept. But Ted Pryor, I'm sure, capable. They got through
Oh,
it.
yeah. It's just a lot.
It's a lot.
like,
I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Trev.
oh, I just don't even understand. Like, it would be like being the hostess at like or a host at a restaurant, while also being the chef as well, and how you are like
Yeah.
juggling all that.
One thing I will I have a little more like background just kind of floating around in my head on Ted, just because a good friend of mine, I'm not going to mention by name, but you guys know who he is, releases cult films through Blu-ray labels and has done this for some years. And he did a David Pryor movie from 1992 called Raw Nerve a few years back. And that's like a crime thriller starring Tracy Lords and some other people. I've been told it's not very good, but the half-hour interview with Ted Pryor that my friend conducted, that is a bonus feature on the disc, is worth the price of the disc. It is just fantastic storytelling by Ted for 30 minutes straight. But my thoughts on the quality of this movie, I think it's a really good case study in figuring out exactly what one finds charming about low rent 1980s films versus low rent late 2010 mid late 2010s 2020s films. There is a different vibe.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the accessibility of the technology and the democratization of the tools available. And that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. But
there's something about the production of that first one where, we learned like how they, the film that they used.
Right.
and all of that made it such a pieced together thing. Whereas now,
exactly,
when you see the thing, it's like, oh, shot on red cameras. I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yep. Yeah, because like, any jackass that shoots a movie in anywhere that isn't Los Angeles or New York just owns a red and will just bring it with like almost no additional fee because they're so desperate to work. And I'm not saying that was definitely the case with this DP, who did an okay enough job for this movie. And actually there's one scene where they tried cinematography and I thought it really worked. But yeah, that's the thing. Just because like then you had these people who like really had to apply real skill and real technical skill and get through like a large degree of stuff that you really had to learn to make the thing. And there were more hurdles to overcome. And now, like, remember the scene in this movie where those two like 17-year-old Bitcoin bros show up and like try to hassle Hogan about his operation? Both producers. And one of them, the one on the right side, the one with like the European accent, that one was Fabio Soldani. Another low budget movie he produced. Apparently, like they hired a certain actress and she worked for 2 weeks and hated him so much and made the set so miserable that like he fired her and they reshot all of her scenes. Actress, which on a movie that this guy would be producing is a lot of work.
Yeah.
But like then you get guys like that, the guys like that with those kinds of personalities being like, oh yeah, I can make a movie. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah, it definitely like there's no part of this that feel like this is only a labor of love, this movie. Like, but you feel that interference, you feel that extra kind of like voice behind the whisper behind the ear kind of thing. And I was wondering about this, like this is such a pointless scene. Like, not
Yeah.
that every scene in the first one like was necessary, but like it felt like just like someone owed someone a favor, or like that was someone's brother who fed the cast and crew for free or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And
I mean,
I don't know how much of that there is in this movie, but it definitely feels like that's kind of the vibe overall for the most part.
I totally agree. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched all the way through the credits, but I like every person and business in Mobile, Alabama, I think was thanked by the end of the very long credits scroll. So, yeah, that's the biggest thing the movie has going against it. But going for it, although it is like, I think the best way to describe it in comparison to the first one is this movie is far more sleepy. This is a very tired movie. Danton's main expression is he's just tired. It's like he's like, it's a Tuesday. Why am I in the woods on a Tuesday shooting guys? I should be in my chair. Like,
well, he can sleepwalk through it because it's the same movie.
Yeah.
It is the exact same movie.
He's got to be woken up, taken out of bed, and like, hey, you got to take the trash out.
Yeah. And then the trash shows up to take him out.
I think like I just want a third movie where he's like, I'm fucking never taking the trash out again.
My wife can take it out.
Or like he arms himself, like he has like the arming himself scene every morning when he takes the trash out.
Yep. Like literally, my review for this on my letterbox was that they basically pulled a Hangover 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's 100% what this movie is. And like the only real difference is we get the introduction of like these weird like nerd gamer characters.
The hackers.
The hackers who ultimately serve no purpose other than to have the one thirst over Danton constantly, who has maybe three different lines of dialogue in the whole movie, and one of them is God, was it too true?
She says true that. Just
true that. That's what it is. True that. That's what it is.
That. It's always true that.
True that. Like she probably has like 20 lines total. That accounts for over half of them.
Yes. I wrote down all of the other ones she said too, and I'm trying to find at least one of them. Oh, I heard that.
Yeah, yes, there was a similar one.
One time she said true business. She said that at one point.
True business.
True business.
I believe she says hello again when Danton gets in the car, and she is still very clearly thirsting for him.
Yes, her whole biological process just began as soon as Danton stepped into that car.
And then they just unceremoniously are gunned down by Hogan at the end.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, if we're going to just talk about these characters' storyline, we cut to them sitting at their kitchen table or something with laptops. They're just talking about games. We have zero context for these people.
Yeah.
They don't talk about they just talk about games and being bored with the games they've been playing. So they go and seek out a new, more like hardcore game and wind up stumbling across the murder web stream that Hogan has created.
And in that way, this is kind of like a combo with The Condemned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, because it's weird, because like this came out after The Condemned, and it Hangover 2'd after Hangover 2 had happened.
Yeah.
I also, like, you can tell that they're not gamers or hackers because they're sitting at a dining room table.
Yeah.
Not in a dark, dimly lit basement with, like, a server farm behind them.
Yes. Can't afford that. And then they're watching this, and then instead of contacting authorities or like helping like pinning down a location and being like, hey, FBI, this is happening and this is where it's happening. They figure out where it is and just decide to go.
Yeah. It's like, oh, we'll track him down. We'll help him. But how?
And she and
They
and
even ask that question. They're like, "What are we gonna do?"
yeah, Candy. That's that lady's name, Candy. I just called her True That, but she
Same.
asks that. And they're just like, we'll figure it out. And she's like, that might have been the True Business, or I heard that, or something. I don't know.
I can't.
But they show up.
imagine
Go. Sorry.
in like any context.
No.
With this, like whatever this is going on, being like, all right, me and like some friends, we're gonna drive to where this insanely violent and deadly thing is happening, without any plan, without any thought, and just like, well, you know, hopefully it all turns out for the best. Which
Yeah,
it,
a place
it doesn't.
a place that's also super easily accessible by car. They have no
Yeah, they
trouble
drive
driving
into a
up
clearing.
to literally the part like that's the other insane thing too, is like this massive expanse of forest, and they just happen to roll up where Danton comes charging out of the tree line.
It's an amazing moment.
They
make him get in the car. Oh, I forgot when they stumble across the web stream, they recall the legend of Danton.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the oral tradition.
Yeah. Like, which is also nuts because like they likely weren't born when it happened, or if they were babies.
Right. So it's like urban legend.
And then like, because I was also thrown by the beginning because like we see Hogan getting out of prison, and
Right.
like definitely the way the first one ends, like I did not get the vibe that Danton let him get away to like face justice.
That's
No, it totally seemed like
exactly-
he exploded.
And I was like, oh, okay, I guess Hogan just went to prison for only 25 years?
For yeah, only 25. They let him out on good behavior, you know.
Yeah, a tame sentence for being directly responsible for the deaths of at least a double-digit amount of people.
And he's
Yep.
picked up by some lady he's had working on the outside to put the whole thing together again.
Yeah.
Who is also thirsting for him, and he is not reciprocating.
Yeah, because he just wants to fuck down.
Yeah. Right. That's the best scene. That scene's incredible. Holy shit. They're having sex. These two characters are having sex during the movie, and she tries to pull Hogan away to bone him in the middle of all this. And he goes like gleefully, he's like, no, I'd rather play with Danton. And she goes, sometimes I think you'd rather screw him than me. And he goes, you might be right.
Yeah.
And she just goes, I knew it, and storms off. Amazing.
I will say, of the handful of actors that were given it their all, they were definitely two of them.
Totally. And the woman who I called Drive Bitch, because that's how he refers to her at the very beginning. She's all loving on him, and then he like scowls at her and says Drive Bitch, and then she laughs, and they both laugh, and they drive away.
I mean, my wife loves it that to her, so I get it.
She was the main producer and line producer on this movie.
Oh, and she could actually act.
She was better than the rest.
Yeah. So yeah, she could act comparatively.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. So when they're driving to the woods and True That asks what the hell they plan to do, and they say they're not sure, she says, that's cool, I guess. Yeah.
Oh boy.
And
then they
Oh, you go ahead.
they pick him up, drop him back off at his house, leave?
Yeah, that I lost. I was like, realized I had not been tracking them, and I'm like, wait, where did they go? Like, did I forget like what happened with their storyline.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
When show up at
leave,
the end.
and then Drive Bitch reveals herself.
Yes. And then we have a repeat of that scene.
Yep, and then they come back. Like, so maybe they just sat out in the car and waited
right.
until they heard something?
Right. They sat out in the car. They found little Danton. That's what happened. So, like, there's that whole exchange, and Danton murders Drive Bitch and explodes her head. She got no head. And then True That brings in little Danton, and no one makes any effort to make him not see this horrifyingly gory corpse. And he goes over to his father, and his father is facing toward the other wall. So we have to presume that little Danton is looking directly at the corpse over his dad's shoulder. It's intense.
It absolutely is. And
Then the hackers leave. Then
Then
they
they
disappear.
Yep.
And then during the final showdown, like then when it's like actually Danton versus Hogan, they wander into the movie.
just stumble in like just all three in a line, like walk it like, oh, ooh. Hey,
I don't know.
Hogan.
I don't know if I've ever seen characters literally wander back into a movie ever before in that way. It was special. And then they just die.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I guess they were an Uber, and that was like the whole plot function of the hackers.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, you could have completely excised that stuff and just had them kidnap his wife anyway. And then when he inevitably found Hogan, yeah. Oh boy,
Yeah.
they take some weird swings with this one.
You know what? The other thing is the end credits is like 7 minutes long in an 80-minute movie. So if they had like cut extraneous stuff, whoo.
Yeah. God, that's almost 10% of the runtime. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, when it did end and the credits start, I'm like, oh, I thought there was more. Oh, there is more. Okay.
there were a lot of people to thank. A lot of people made this movie possible.
The thing I really liked about the credits was how the song played and then ended, and then the credits continued for 3 more minutes in silence.
Yep.
And at the very end, it said mixed at Bacco Beyond Studios, Granada Hills, California. I beg to differ. I don't think this movie was mixed at all by anyone. This is the worst sound editing and mixing I've heard in a movie since I made movies in college. I'm sorry. It's awful.
If there's one thing that I have learned from the credit sequence of the Naked Gun movies, it's that not everything you put in them has to be true.
True business.
True business.
True business. Make them
I
think
heard that.
Make them think that you paid a recording studio and then pocket the extra dough. All tens of it.
That's it. That's what happened.
My favorite during the credits is such a long stretch where you get nothing but names next to just soldier, and it just feels like
there were so many that were just soldier.
And even I think they did start getting reused. I think there's at least 2 guys I saw get killed twice.
Yeah.
At least 2.
Like, you could have just put soldiers and then done like the group crediting.
Yes, that's what they should have done.
I was like, these credits do not need to be longer. Like, that probably accounted for a good 20 seconds of the credits. The soldiers alone.
And,
the casting of the soldiers too. Oh, I'm sorry, Trav.
And of course, I went through every name in this cast. Not a single one is in Star Trek.
Man, this is some bullshit!
That's kind of impressive.
Yeah, it was. I'm like, wow. I can't believe this.
But then, were also like most of them were like in 2 to 4 things, I think, right?
Yeah, considering like all the, people who are, producers or, were just mobile Alabama area people. It makes sense.
Like and it's really also really funny how like it feels like they shot the movie in sequence, or at least the woods parts, only because the soldiers start out looking like you would expect soldiers to look, and by the end they are people who look like they thought they were going to go LARPing, or like someone that they abducted from the computer lab, or
Yup.
it's like
There,
really amazing.
there are also a lot of the better soldiers killed off in the beginning by either Hogan or Sunglass's twin brother.
Sunglasses
Yeah. Oh
too.
yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't get to talk about
Like,
how he comes
there-
back.
Yeah,
I hope
there
he's
is
as
a
good as his
lot.
brother.
What I remember we even brought it up last week when we were talking. It was like, oh yeah, no, this guy is in it, credited under the same name somehow,
Yep.
but not like a scalpless version, the twin brother,
He's better than his brother.
who
And he
even
shows
gets killed the same way as his twin brother.
Yeah, I liked that.
Who did
It
he
was
have
dumb,
Scott?
but I liked that.
I mean, of all the things that they repeated, that was one that I actually enjoyed at least.
Yeah.
It's like, as soon as he pulled the arm out, I was like, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to be so mad. And then
Yeah.
Danton delivered.
He do. What was another? Yeah,
Danton eats dog food this time instead of worm.
he does. He
Yep.
roasts dog food over an open flame.
One of the things that I enjoyed, I feel like there weren't a lot of great kill lines in this one.
There
But
weren't.
but one of them gets burned almost immediately as soon as the action starts. When a soldier's pleading for his life and says it was just a job, and then Danton impales him and says you should have filed for unemployment.
That was a great one. Angela died laughing, and I'm like, yeah, that's what Dustin texted me. I loved this one guy is wandering through the woods, looks down, and there's like a smiley face that has been drawn on the ground, and he's just like looking at it, and then Danton silently rises behind him, and the guy turns around, and Danton just goes, "Have a nice day," and then stabs him in the heart, and the guy like falls, and Danton goes, "Too late," and then like
Amazing.
goes. That was pretty good.
Even if it was a missed opportunity for Have a Nice Day.
Totally.
But still pretty good. There's another one I just remembered. I think it's when one of the soldiers challenges Sunglasses. I don't remember exactly but he shoots him and then says something like, "Oh, it looks like he's not going to beat me because he's dead," or something, something along those lines.
It's too late. He's already dead. Something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Where is this? There's another good one where he tosses a grenade at someone. Oh yeah, there's a dude who looks like Butterbean, and he's just standing there with an incredibly vacant look on his face, and Danton tosses him a grenade saying, "You dropped something," and then the guy just like stares blankly and then explodes.
Oh boy, those explosions.
Oh boy, yeah. That was right around the time Danton was fighting the helicopter.
Yep.
It's in
Which-
the previous movie where he shoves a grenade in somebody's pants.
Yes. He didn't do that again, unfortunately.
No, instead he did a similar routine where one of the soldiers is a former buddy and helps him distract and take out a bunch of them using the same tactics of sneaking up on them or asking to light a cigarette.
Yep. Same two teaming thing. It's wow.
And then Sunglasses just knows that that dude betrayed them, so shoots him on sight. Or no, I think it's Hogan. Hogan shoots him.
I think Ted, in the interview I referenced, Ted provided some insight into David's writing process. Ted would look in the newspapers and see what movies were popular and then combine words from different titles to make movies like Killzone and Future Force and stuff like this. And he would make up these titles, tell them to David. David worked a full-time job, would come home, write all night, and in 3 days he'd have a feature script that he would write after hours when he's working full-time. So like says where a lot of this comes from, I think. This is
That
a
makes
3-day
sense.
script.
Yeah. Oh no, it feels like one. Yeah, there's no part of me that thought it was like, oh, this was a year-long bidding war with a bunch of rewrites.
And this is another difference between an 80s indie production and a modern indie production. I think in the original, it seemed like they actually like hired a helicopter for an afternoon to do that
Yeah.
helicopter stuff.
Not
This
just
is stock footage, and then a model helicopter exploding, which I actually really liked that.
Yeah,
It looked bad,
Yeah.
but I really liked it.
Yeah, I can appreciate the little bit of practical that they did.
Yeah. But yeah, the shooting at obvious stock footage does not feel the same.
No.
because yeah, as soon as the helicopter shows up, I'm like, now there's no fucking way they had the budget to have this,
No.
you know.
No. So yeah, this movie is a double-edged sword. Hogan's kill is pretty good. Hogan dying. There's
Oh, yeah.
unfortunately and unbelievably, there is no kill line. I'm baffled by the fact that there's like it's a silent event, really,
Yeah,
except
like-
for when he dies.
Yeah, he dies and then like it just kind of ends.
Right.
There's no resolution
It's
other than
it's
like,
literally Hogan gets cut in half, dies.
He says
Bard
fuck.
watching the live stream cheers. Danton and Minnie Danton both raise an assault rifle to the sky in silhouette, and that's it.
and
Yep.
it says the beginning at the bottom.
The beginning.
The beginning,
Not
Yeah.
the
of
end.
So Deadliest prey might be a reality.
Deadliester. Yeah. I loved that trap though. Like that on the whole, I was like one of the things that I really loved the most about Deadly Prey is that every kill was different. Like every knife kill was different. He's springing out of a different place. He's doing some other weird shit. Like they actually like put in the effort to like he's doing something different a little bit at least every time he takes a guy out. And that was a lot of fun, especially in the first half when it's just relentless killing.
Yeah.
And in this movie, also relentless killing, but really slow, lame. A lot of like there are some good kills. There's some good like little comic fake outs, but on the whole, it's a lot of just like neck breaking and stabbing and
Yeah, and we don't really get a big variety of it until this
No.
last stretch with like all the traps that he sets up.
yeah.
Which like those are great. I was like, more of this variety through the whole movie, please.
Yeah.
I
One of the
do
traps I loved. Oh, sorry.
You go ahead. We might be saying the same one.
The distraction trap.
The one where they think like he's buried himself like he did before.
Oh no, you talk about that one. I have a different one.
Where they come up and in the first movie where he like pops up out of the ground, it looks like
Mhm.
he's done it again, but he comes up behind him.
Yeah. And this is a variation of that where like the group trips a wire and this like whole kind of grid of sticks springs up, but there's no spikes on it or anything, and it's not doing anything. It just everybody's looking at it and trying to figure out what's going on. And then Danton just steps out from behind a tree and then just machine gun kills them all in a half a second. It's like, I'm old. How can I get the most at once? I like that. But the giant like dog claw clippers that he fashioned to slice Hogan in half was amazing.
Yeah, those are great. I also like that we got a tease of the Daisy Dukes from the original, but he sadly did not suit up in those.
Yeah. I did like that he did the hand acting to signify he thought about it for that moment, but
Oh, yeah.
decided no.
It felt like maybe the only clever moment in the entire movie.
Well, and another one was like if you remember early on, like he's not in hot pants the whole movie this time, but they do take his shoes at the very beginning.
Yes.
And the first thing he does with the first guy he kills is he takes his boots because he's like, I'm not doing this barefoot again.
Oh, yeah.
That's Ted Pryor talking.
No, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and that made me think because with the previous movie, they did the obvious Predator ripoff / homage of a movie that had come out just a few months prior. And when he said that, I'm like, oh, that's interesting because he did the barefoot action hero thing before Die Hard the next year.
Yeah.
With
That's
the same
true.
Director as Predator.
That's a good point.
John McTiernan's got an answer for his crimes.
I would just be desperately curious to know. Yeah. I would just be desperately curious to know if John McTiernan watched Action International Pictures movies. Like if he'd ever seen a David A. Pryor action film. I would just like to know.
Good question.
I like when filmmakers enjoy trash.
Yeah.
No one's enjoying the new Crow movie. That's a different
No.
topic.
Oh boy.
I've been enjoying reading Alex Proyas's posts about the topic.
Oh boy. Well, we saw it.
Oh God.
It bad.
I had a friend at work tell me that he saw it with some friends and said that if you can imagine it's just like a 2-hour music video and only concentrate on how it looks, you probably have a good time. But if you try to engage in any level past that, you're hopeless. It's hopeless.
It doesn't even look that good either, though. Like, having not seen the Eric Mabius and Edward Furlong Crow movies yet,
Yeah.
I can still almost confidently say this is the worst out of all of them.
I would still rather watch Crow Wicked Prayer than go to see this movie.
Yeah, like there's almost no action in it. It's all at the end. And it's like it's an okay sequence, but it's like, why did you even make this R-rated if you're not going to have any violence until this last stretch?
Boo.
Yeah. Anyone who says that they genuinely like it and enjoy it as a standalone movie are just being contrarian dickbags.
What did Armand White say about it is what I'm thinking right now.
He said it was better than, I don't know, what's a great movie that came out this year? I've already forgotten.
Did Lisa Frankenstein come out this year? I still haven't seen it,
Yes, it did.
but you guys like
It
that
did.
movie.
It's a fun one.
I don't even know, man. What I've watched so few movies, or I've logged so few movies. It's hard. For me
I've
to
watched a
track
decent
order.
amount of stuff. I'm trying to think of like what would actually be like Oscar contenders that I've watched, and I'm having trouble conjuring anything.
Yeah.
The New Crow was worse than this.
Oh, yeah. They should have released this weekend. It would have made them more money.
Yeah, like, God. Oh, I saw Cuckoo beforehand, so I at least watched a good movie while we were at the AMC.
Oh, that's good.
But oh boy, I'm going to be genuinely shocked if anything bombs harder than The Crow and Borderlands this year.
Borderlands is amazing to me. Yeah.
It's insane.
Okay, Dune 2 is probably the...
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Late Night with the Devil's probably up there, maybe. I don't know. No, it's not. It's okay. It's one of the movies of this year I've seen.
It is one of the movies of this year. That is true. I would say Longlegs, but there's no way that's going to get any kind of Oscar consideration because the Academy are cowards.
Yeah. It certainly ain't going to be Ghostbusters Frozen Empire.
No, Jesus.
Or Ricky Stenicki.
My God.
Okay. But, so, it was Deadliest Prey.
Yeah.
It was. Truly, they were all the deadliest prey.
One thing
I
was a little surprised by was his wife was not killed in the end. Which
I was waiting for it.
Prepared for it. Yep.
They killed the hackers instead.
And
I think the difference has to be that he got married and had a child in the time that since he made the first movie.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, because you hear that with like young Spielberg and like older Spielberg, where he's like, I wouldn't have done like with Close Encounters. He's like, I wouldn't have done this movie that way because I'm like, well, I'm glad you made it when you did. I don't want older like more trepidatious Spielberg, stepping in and adding walkie-talkies to ET.
Agree. There's one piece of trivia on IMDb for this movie, and it is that Fritz Matthews lost 35 pounds for his role as Sunglasses Tube.
Oh. Okay.
Yep. He hadn't acted in like 20 years.
Well, he did it. He
Yeah.
came back and he showed us all.
Like the aspects, like one of the things that's nice about this movie is those aspects of like friends doing a thing because friends wanted to do the thing was still like vibrant, especially like with how hard Hogan was going the whole movie.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, as a group of friends getting together to make a movie together, like I absolutely appreciate that element of this.
Yeah, doesn't make it good.
No, it doesn't. But it makes it still better than the New Crow.
Yes, exactly. There is more heart in Deadliest Prey than there is in The Crow 2024.
Exactly.
True business.
Hey, you know what?
You gotta lift that soundbite.
True that.
True that. Oh God, wait. Okay, the credits were all in Arial or Calibri or like something like the default sans serif font on whatever they were using. And I think the score was also just reused from the first film. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It was.
Okay.
That sounds about right.
I think those were the other things I noticed. Oh, the one interesting cinematography. The one guy, like Danton tries to defeat one guy simply by staring him down. And like the camera slowly pushes into these close-ups and cuts back and forth between the two of them, just camera like pushing up close until like the other doofus like smiles and tries to draw his gun, and then Danton just like, throwing knives him. But that was actually like a nice like little tension building moment.
Yeah, a little showdown moment.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay, so you got one piece of flair you can afford the time to do. It was nice.
Yeah, there's some thought behind at least one of these shot sequences.
Yeah, that was just nice to see.
Yeah, no, that was pretty good.
That's probably all I got. Drive, bitch. This lady. I'm just like, when I'm watching the movie, there's this, they go to bone and he like takes her by the neck. He's like, he grabs her by the back of the neck and he's pushing her. And I'm just thinking like, that's the producer. Like, this is the lady cutting your checks. Did she agree to that aspect? This is just I don't know, man. It seemed weird.
Yes.
So
many of them. Yeah, all of it seemed weird.
I think that's everything I got.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say there probably wasn't a fight coordinator of any kind on set.
Probably true. The one good hand-to-hand fight was Sunglasses and Danton at the end. That was a good hand-to-hander. Sorry, Trev.
Oh, I was just gonna say they probably just had the first AD do all the stunt coordination.
Yeah, that
probably
tracks.
did. Probably did. All right, I'm empty.
All right, that was.
Yeah, I've said everything I got.
We've done.
We did it,
just like they did, and so now we get to discuss not next week, but the week after, and take a little break, and then we're gonna come back with Ricky Stenicki himself, John Cena, and Jackpot with Aquafina.
My understanding is that this is just Brewster's Million with John Cena.
Ooh, yeah, there you
go. I know the title, but I don't understand that reference.
Oh, so I learned the plot of Brewster's Millions from an episode of Batman the Animated Series called Joker's Millions, where I don't know if you boys remember our college chum Corey Close, but he and I were watching it, and the episode started rolling. It's like, is this just going to be a Batman version of the movie Brewster's Millions? And it turns out it was. The Joker inherits a fortune from someone, and he only gets to keep it if he spends like a set amount of it within 30 days, which is also the plot of Brewster's Millions starring Richard Pryor.
Ah.
but it's
And who?
with the Joker, baby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch Brewster's Millions sometime. But Travis,
It's pretty good.
where can other human beings watch Jackpot?
It's an Amazon Prime original,
Yep.
just like Ricky Stenicki.
I have an
So
anecdote to share after the show.
Yeah, everyone jump on to the good old. Oh, I forgot Rick Moranis was in Brewster's Millions. Okay, all right, but everyone jump on your Amazon Prime accounts and give them more of your money.
Check it totally out.
Watch the Jackpot, and so we'll be discussing that. And in the meantime, Dustin, where can people find more of you?
Well, in the meantime, if you're looking for more information on Ricky Stenicki, you can go to the Ricky Stenicki wiki. I, on the other hand, can be found on Instagram, Letterboxd, Twitter at Dustin Meadows. My YouTube channel is Dustin Meadows Comedy. I actually just dropped my latest short on there called Lunch Break Outbreak, where you can check that out. And in the next few months or so, my wife and I are working on a Halloween EP, so that will hopefully be out come October. We're looking at doing a couple of music videos for it as well, so those will also be on my YouTube.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alex, how about you?
Letterboxd at Alex Brunel. I exist on Instagram, kind of. Same. Yeah. There's Letterboxd list.
Until next week. Watch out for Ricky Stenicki. Stay alive.